How do I get my rolls to not sound like this? Where it's like emphasizing the first note and the second note is really thin. So how do you get that second note to sound more even? Just playing on a softer surface, being able to get that second note in there without making it sound like this requires a lot of effort. If you want to make it easier for yourself, fold it so you have less layers. And another way that you can work on the second note, getting used to moving the wrist motion if you use a primary or wrist technique. And practicing it that way. You can practice it like this as well. But there's also some exercises that are specifically designed for improving this. Underneath the double beat playlist, diddle strength. So this exercise I actually learned from Jeff Queen, 4-time world champion snare drummer, and I got a couple of lessons with him. You play normal height, and then you emphasize the first note, so the accent is only about 3 inches higher than the tap in this type of exercise. The last measure, the accent is on the second note, but again, it's only about 3 inches higher. Think of it like an emphasis. So you do it off the right hand, both hands, left hand, both hands. The both hands part makes it so that you can hear the double stops, because what you want to hear is a pop instead of... Another way that you can work on this, play a roll where you are intentionally trying to accent the second note. So instead of a roll like this, you're emphasizing the second note and try and play it where you're doing that. You can even do rim shots if you want, but you know, it'll annoy everyone in like a 5-mile radius around you, especially if you're playing on a drum. Another way to work on the second note of the diddle is to actually work on inverted diddles. What is an inverted diddle? Roll timing exercise. Right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, and then it repeats for the second half. Okay, that's normal. Now we have an inverted roll where it starts with a single right hand. So right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. Why would you want to work on this? A normal diddle, when you're playing this, you're feeling the triplet pulse. So triplet, 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 triplet. When you invert it, you're going triplet, triplet, triplet. That's the second note of the diddle on the pulse, on the subdivision. If you work on not just a normal diddle or a normal roll, but you work on an inverted diddle and inverted rolls, forces you to actually feel it more. In every single one of these, we have normal, inverted, normal, inverted, normal, inverted. And it does this for all of these different variations in here, whether it's triplet or for 16th note. There's always an inverted version of this, and it's so you can work on the second note of your diddle. This exercise looks weird, but it sounds the same as a normal diddle on one. So like this very first measure right here, that's just a normal interpretation of it. If you play it inverted, it sounds the exact same rhythm, except instead of going right, right, left, right, you're going right, left, left, right. Or when you do a roll, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. Instead of the subdivision being on the first note, you're just shifting it over to a second note. Before I get to the next tip, I just want to say really quickly that you can find literally thousands of hours of free drumming play-alongs and drumming tips in the link at the top of the description or by going into my home tab of YouTube. If you're working on trying to like match your right with your left-hand sound, what I'll often see people do is they'll do like, I'm just gonna work on just the right hand with whatever the pattern is, and then I'm gonna work just on the left hand. That's fine and all to be able to like hear what your hand is doing individually, like playing a flame accent, like cool, but you're having to rely on your memory to hear what it sounds like when it's just one hand and then waiting until the next hand. But if you combine them together and play as a double stop, then you can hear if it sounds flammy on those interior notes like that, or if you're getting this double stop popping sound, those low notes should get a pop rather than a cha sound. So when you're practicing, yeah, you can work on it in isolation to figure out what each hand is doing. But if you play them as double stops and put them together, then you can actually hear, did they sound the same? Is it the same velocity, etc.? So the double stops, left hand was slowed down a little bit right here, and you could hear those inconsistencies with that. Line 2 and 4 are a great way to kind of expose whether or not your right hand and your left hand sound the same. Hence why it does it focusing on the right hand. then both together, then the left hand, then both together. So this exercise is a great way to work on the controlled rebound of your 4 strokes. And as always, in the timestamps, you can go as slow as 20 or you can go as fast as 160 on this exercise. But this is for 4s. There's also a variation of the exercise that doesn't have the release. So it's just like the measure right here. So there's no left hand release on this part, so that left is gone. And then there's also a 3-stroke variation of this called isolated 3s, either with the release or without the release. And then there's also a isolated diddles version of this that instead of doing 4s, if you don't want to work on that, you can work on your diddles. So you'll play, and you play it as double stops so you can hear whether or not your diddles sound the same or you're getting some timing issues or velocity issues. So I highly recommend checking out these isolated doubles, 3s, and 4-stroke exercises on my YouTube. This exercise is fantastic for working on being able to switch between a controlled 3s, where you are stroking each one of those individually, and then going into a single stroke, downstroke, with 4 controlled rebounds for the 4s. Single strokes. So again, just doing single notes. So when you're playing this, you can slow this one down as slow as 20. Or you can go as fast as 160 if you can play faster 4s than I can. But what's hard about it is like being able to get that spacing change and the feel change between stroking these individually, the 3s, and then just doing a controlled rebound for 4 notes in a row, being able to switch back and forth between them. So this is a fun variation of Chug called Chug with 3s and fast 4s. And there's literally thousands more on my YouTube channel. Home tab. What is the hardest thing to do on drums? What is the easiest thing to do on drums? As I've gotten better, I found more things to work on. So while my skill has improved, I feel like there's more to work on. It's the same thing with in research. So like my PhD is in music education. Like as I got better as an educator, I realized there's more and more things I did not know and did not know how to teach. And so I felt like there's more and more things to learn and more things to refine. The exact same thing with my playing. So as my playing improved, something that might seem easy is going to be absurdly difficult. So like I studied with Dom Moyle, who's the drum kit professor at Arizona State University. And that guy can play just like a standard like boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, chick, and it sounds so good. Like you listen to it and you're just like, oh yeah, oh wow. You just want to like bop to it all day long. And then if I played on drum kit, you'll be like, okay, and because he's refined the basics so much to make it just like everything sounds tasty on the drums. That's an interesting question, but like there's so many nuances that you can't really like give a definitive, here's something hard, here's something easy, because anything could be hard, anything could be easy.